Title: She went to her exto hurt me. I packed her bags. What happened next ruined her life. The living room's dim glow from the standing lamp cast long shadows on the hardwood floor, the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. Lirien stood by the front door, her blonde hair catching the light, her eyes cold as she adjusted her coat, her voice sharp with defiance. "I'm going to Torsten's party, Arden," she said, her tone cutting through me like a blade, her sneer a clear jab meant to spite me. I begged her not to go. Torsten was her ex, a man I'd always distrusted, but she left anyway, slamming the door behind her. When she came home that night, she was shocked by what I did, a betrayal that would unravel in ways neither of us expected. I'm Arden, a man who feels too deeply. Average build, soft-spoken, with a heart that breaks too easily. Lirien called me pathetic, her favorite insult, delivered with a sneer that made me feel small. I'd loved her since our first date at a local pottery class, her fiery ambition a spark I thought we'd share, her career as a freelance photographer a dream I supported with every late shift at the community library. But that spark turned to ice, her ambition a wall I couldn't scale. Her late nights, her dismissive sneers, the way she'd brush off my concerns, they were signs I ignored, hoping love could fix us, until her decision to go to Torsten's party forced me to see the truth. I stood by the door after she left, my hands trembling, tears I despised burning my eyes, the weight of her defiance a physical blow. "I'm going to Torsten's party," she'd said, her tone mocking, as if my fears were a joke, but I knew Torsten, her ex, the man she'd always spoken of with a lingering fondness, her laughter brighter for him than for me at social events. I'd found a text from him on her phone last month. "Can't wait to see you," but she'd laughed it off, calling me paranoid. "You're so needy, Arden," she'd said, and I believed her, thought I was the problem, until her choice to go to his party confirmed my fears, a truth I couldn't unsee. I turned back to the living room, the lamp's glow now a mockery of the warmth I thought we had, and sank onto the couch, my mind racing. I wanted to follow her, to demand why, but my legs wouldn't move, the old fear of her scorn, pathetic, holding me back. Instead, I decided to act, my hurt turning into a quiet resolve. I drove to Bjorn's place, my best friend who'd never trusted Lirien. His apartment, a small space above a tailor shop, smelled of fabric and thread, a refuge from the chaos inside me. He opened the door, his face softening as he saw my expression. "What happened, Arden?" he asked, pulling me inside. I collapsed onto his worn armchair, the words spilling out. The living room, Lirien's defiance, her decision to go to Torsten's party to spite me, my escape. Bjorn's jaw tightened, his usual humor gone. "She's a snake," he said, handing me a glass of water. "You don't deserve this." I nodded, my throat tight, unable to speak, the weight of her betrayal a crushing force. I opened my notebook, a secret I'd kept since Lirien mocked my writing as childish, and wrote, "I'm not her toy." The words felt fragile, but they sparked a resolve, a need to act, not just flee. I texted Signamy, my co-worker at the library who'd seen me through Lirien's worst. "Lirien went to Torsten's party to spite me. I'm done." Her reply was instant. "Meet me at the library tomorrow. We'll plan." The night stretched endlessly, Lirien's sneer at my protests a haunting loop, her betrayal a wound I couldn't close, but I knew I had to face her, to uncover her lies, while my decision to act that night set the stage, a moment I'd never forget, driving me to fight with a strength she'd never break, as her shock upon returning home would soon reveal the consequences of her choice. The library's quiet hum of turning pages filled the air as I stepped inside, the scent of old books a faint comfort against the storm inside me, Lirien's sneering defiance, going to Torsten's party to spite me, still echoing in my mind. I'd spent the night after her departure in a haze of hurt, but when she returned, her shock at what I'd done marked a turning point, her betrayal a haunting reality I couldn't unsee. I'd come to meet Signamy, my notebook tucked in my bag with the words, "I'm not her toy," a mantra I clung to, determined to uncover the truth and fight back. Signamy was waiting in the library's study room, her warm smile a contrast to the storm inside me as she pulled me to a table stacked with reference books, the morning light streaming through a tall window, casting a soft glow on the wooden floor. "You did the right thing," Taking a stand, Arden, she said, her voice steady, her role in my fight a fierce anchor. I nodded, my hands trembling as I recounted the night. Lirien's decision to go to Torsten's party, her return, her shock at finding her belongings packed, and waiting by the door, my escape to Bjorn's. Signy's eyes narrowed, her support a lifeline. We'll find out what else she's hiding, she said, pulling out her phone. I know someone who can help. She called Jordy's, a private investigator she'd worked with before, putting her on speaker. I can look into her, Arden, Jordy said, her voice crisp. If she's been unfaithful, there'll be a trail. I nodded, the stakes rising, my determination unshakable. Do it, I said, my voice firm, a step toward agency I'd never taken with Lirien. Jordy's agreed, her tone steady. I'll start with her financials and phone records. Be ready for anything. I wrote, her lies won't bury me. The words were a vow, a fire growing within me to face the truth Lirien had hidden. I decided to confront Torsten, her ex, to shake their connection, an external conflict I was ready for. I drove to his house, a modern townhouse in the suburbs, my heart pounding as I knocked. He opened the door, his smirk faltering as he saw me, his eyes darting nervously. Arden, he said, his voice tight, a flicker of the man who'd always lingered too close to Lirien at events. I know she was at your party, I said, my voice steady, cutting through his pretense. What's going on between you two? His face paled, a flash of panic, a glimpse of guilt I hadn't expected. She came to me, he stammered, his voice breaking. She said she wanted to hurt you. She's been seeing me for months. I left, the confrontation a small victory, Torsten's confession a weapon Jordy's could use. Back at Bjorn's, I wrote, I'm free to see. The pain of Lirien's defiance, her affair with Torsten, still stung, but I was moving forward. Bjorn clapped my shoulder, his grin wide. You're taking control, Arden, he said, his support a warmth I clung to, his role in my journey a constant. Signy texted, Jordy's found something. Meet me at the library tomorrow. The message hinted at a twist, the stakes rising, my determination unshakable. I didn't sleep, the night stretching endlessly, Lirien's shock when she returned home a haunting loop. Her belongings packed, a note on the table saying, you made your choice, now live with it. Her stunned silence as I'd already left for Bjorn's. I thought of our early days, her laughter once genuine at the pottery class, a memory tainted by her cruelty. I'd trusted her, believed her excuses. It's just a friend's gathering, Arden. But I'd seen the way she'd looked at Torsten at past events, her hand lingering, her smile brighter for him than for me, a truth I couldn't unsee. The library loomed, a battlefield I wasn't fully ready for, but I knew I had to face her, to uncover the full extent of her deceit. While my decision to make her leaving permanent had set the stage, a moment I'd never forget, driving me to fight with a strength she'd never break, as her shock turned to regret. The library's soft rustle of pages turning filled the air as I sat with Signy in the study room. The faint scent of aged books a quiet comfort against the storm inside me. Jordy's investigation, prompted by Signy's text, still weighing on my mind. Lirien's defiance in going to Torsten's party despite me had been a dagger, her affair with him confirmed by his confession. She said she wanted to hurt you, a haunting reality I couldn't unsee, and her shock when she returned home to find her belongings packed had been a turning point. I'd confronted Torsten, and now, with Jordy's digging into Lirien's secrets, I was ready to uncover the full truth, no longer the Arden she'd mocked as pathetic. Signy handed me a file, her eyes sharp with determination as she leaned across the table, the morning light casting a gentle glow through the tall window, illuminating the rows of bookshelves around us. Jordy's found something big, Arden, she said, her voice steady, her role in my fight a fierce anchor. I nodded, my hands trembling as I recounted Torsten's confession and my confrontation at his house. Signy's face hardened, her support a lifeline. Look at this, she said, flipping the file open. Lirien's been using a hidden credit card to fund a secret apartment with Torsten. She's been paying rent and buying gifts for him for over a year. My breath caught, the depth of her deceit a fresh wound, a plot twist that hit like a punch. She's been planning to fully move in with him, Signy added, her tone grim. She wanted to drain your joint account first. I wrote in my notebook, her lies are her downfall. The words fueled me, a declaration of my fight, bolstered by Signy's encouragement, a fire growing within me to expose her fully. I called Bjorn, needing his steady presence, his voice a lifeline over the phone. She's been funding an apartment with Torsten. Bjorn, I said, my voice cracking. His tone was firm, his role in my journey a constant warmth. Come to the loft. We'll strategize. At Bjorn's loft, the scent of fabric and thread from the tailor shop below grounded me as I sat on his armchair, the file open before me. You've got her cornered, Arden, he said, clapping my shoulder, his support a foundation I leaned on. What's your next move? I nodded, the fire within me burning brighter. I'm confronting her at the apartment, I said, my voice steady, a defiance I'd never shown Lirien before. Geordie's texted, Lirien's at the apartment with Torsten. They're planning to leave town. The message raised the stakes, my determination unshakable, ready to face her on her own turf. I drove to the apartment, a sleek building in the city's arts district, my heart pounding as I took the elevator to their floor, the evening city lights twinkling outside. I knocked on the door, Lirien opening it, her face pale, her eyes red, a flicker of the woman who'd feared failure, now caught in her own web. Torsten standing behind her, his smirk gone. Arden, she said, her voice trembling, no trace of her sneer, Torsten's nervous glance fixed on me. I know about the apartment, the credit card, I said, my voice steady, the external conflict a battlefield I was ready for. You went to Torsten's party to spite me, but I made it easy, and now you're done. Her face crumpled, tears spilling, but Torsten's voice cut through, his tone sharp. She's with me now, he snapped, his arrogance a betrayal in itself. I didn't back down. Then take her. She's not my burden anymore, I said, turning to leave, Lirien's voice trailing. Arden, I didn't mean it, but I didn't look back, the confrontation of victory, her stunned silence a prelude to her defeat. I drove to Bjorn's, writing, I'm free to rise. The pain of her defiance, her affair with Torsten, still lingered, but I was moving forward, supported by Bjorn, Signy, and Geordie's, their roles in my journey a foundation I'd built on, ready to face whatever came next, while Lirien's world crumbled, her shock upon returning home a memory I'd outgrow with a strength she'd never break. The tailor shop's faint hum of sewing machines below Bjorn's loft was a steady rhythm against the storm inside me, Lirien's desperate plea in the apartment. Arden, I didn't mean it, a fading echo in my mind, her stunned silence after I confronted her about the secret apartment and credit card a crack in her icy control. Her defiance in going to Torsten's party despite me had been a dagger, her affair with him and their plan to leave town a haunting reality I couldn't unsee. But I'd packed her belongings, made leaving easy, and now, with Geordie's evidence piling up, I was ready to seal my freedom, no longer the Arden she'd mocked as pathetic. Bjorn handed me a mug of tea, his eyes sharp with concern as he sat across from me, the evening light casting a warm glow through his small window, illuminating the neatly folded fabrics on a nearby shelf. You've got her backed into a corner, Arden, he said, his voice steady, his role in my journey a constant anchor. She's losing everything. His words were a boost, his support a foundation I leaned on. I nodded, my resolve unyielding. I'm not stopping now, I said, my voice firm, a defiance I'd never shown Lirien before. I wrote, I'm free to rise. The words were a vow, a step beyond the pain, fueled by his encouragement and Signy's fierce guidance. Signy called, her voice urgent as I answered. We've got a twist, Arden, she said, her role in my fight a fierce beacon. Lirien tried to forge your signature on a loan to cover her debts with Torsten, but Geordie's caught it. She's frozen the accounts, and Lirien's facing fraud charges. My breath caught, the depth of her desperation a shock, her regret in the apartment now a prelude to her latest scheme. She's at her mother's house, meeting Maris to plan her defense, Signy added. She's panicking, Arden. Be ready. I nodded, the stakes higher, my determination unshakable, ready to face her one last time. I drove to Maris's house, a quaint bungalow with a garden of wildflowers, my heart pounding as I knocked, the twilight casting a soft purple hue across the lawn. Maris opened the door, her face pale, her eyes cold, but Lirien's voice called from inside, trembling. Arden, she said, stepping into view, her eyes red, a flicker of the woman who'd feared failure, now caught in her own web. I made a mistake, she said, her voice soft, a glimpse of vulnerability, but I saw the manipulation beneath, her hands clutching a file, Maris's sharp glare, hoping to pull me back into her control. You tried to forge my signature on a loan, I said, my voice steady, cutting through her lies, the external conflict a battlefield I was ready for. You went to Torsten's party to spite me, but I made it easy, and now you're facing the consequences. Her face crumpled, tears spilling, but Maris's voice cut through, her tone sharp. You're destroying her life, she snapped, her defense of Lirien a betrayal in itself. I didn't back down. She destroyed ours first, I said, turning to leave, Lirien's voice trailing. Arden, I'm sorry, but I didn't look back, the confrontation of victory, her stunned silence a prelude to her defeat. I drove to the library, my notebook open, writing, I'm free to rebuild. The pain of her defiance, her affair with Torsten, still lingered, but I was moving forward. Signy met me there, her hug fierce. Court's tomorrow, Arden, she said, her role in my journey a constant warmth. You've got this. Bjorn texted, proud of you, man. Finish it. Jordy's called, her voice steady. Lirien's lawyer dropped her after the fraud charges. She's done, she said, her role in uncovering the truth a critical support. The court hearing loomed, a final battle to seal my freedom, but I was ready, armed with evidence, resolve, and a fire within, supported by Bjorn, Signy, and Jordy's. Lirien's choice to go to Torsten's party had been her undoing, and I'd walked away, fought back, ready to forge a new path, while her shock upon returning home turned to regret, her world crumbling around her. The courtroom's heavy air lifted as the judge's ruling settled, awarding me the house and a settlement from Lirien's seized assets, her fraud charges and Torsten's testimony ensuring her downfall. Her tearful apology at Maris's house, Arden, I'm sorry, was a distant memory, her world of deceit now in ruins, her stunned silence after my confrontation a moment that had marked her defeat. I'd packed her belongings after she went to Torsten's party to spite me, made leaving easy, and now, Arden, the man she'd called pathetic, stood victorious, a fire she couldn't extinguish burning within me, ready to forge a new path on my own terms. Jordy's final update came as I left the courthouse. Lirien's facing probation and restitution, she texted. Maris has cut contact after the fraud charges, and Torsten's left her. You're free, Arden. A last twist. Lirien had tried to sell off their shared assets to fund her escape, but Torsten exposed her to the authorities, leaving her completely isolated. Her regret at Maris's house a glimpse of the woman who'd lost everything, her empire gone, Torsten out of her life. I didn't linger on her pain. My focus was on the life I was building, one she couldn't touch, a new chapter born from the ashes of her betrayal. I returned to the house, its silence now a space for renewal, the living room where I'd begged her not to go transformed into a place of creativity. I'd always loved pottery, a passion I'd set aside to support Lirien's career, so I set up a small studio in the garage, pulling out my old wheel and clay from our first date at the pottery class. I started creating again, shaping vases and bowls, each piece a step toward healing, a reminder of who I'd been before her sneers dimmed my light. Bjorn joined me on weekends, his gruff humor a comfort as we worked together, our bond deepened by the shared fight we'd endured. You're crafting something new, Arden, he said one afternoon, admiring a glazed vase, his role as a friend a steadfast pillar in my journey. I started volunteering at a local community center, teaching pottery to teenagers, their eager hands and laughter a grounding force, a reminder of my own resilience. Signy helped me organize a small showcase of my work at the center, her encouragement a quiet strength. You found your clay, she said, her role a beacon through my fight, their presence a foundation I'd rebuilt on. I reconnected with old friends from the pottery class days, hosting crafting nights in the garage, the scent of wet clay and the sound of shared stories a new rhythm in my life, a way to connect that felt authentic, a return to the man I'd been before Lirien. A symbolic act of closure came when I crafted a small clay bowl, glazed in a deep blue reminiscent of the night sky, and inscribed it with "Shape Your Peace." I buried a piece of Lirien's coat, the one she'd worn to Torsten's party, beneath a new tree in the backyard, letting the earth reclaim it, a gesture that felt like releasing the last of her hold on me, turning betrayal into beauty. Lirien faded to a footnote, her probation a quiet end, Maris estranged, Torsten long gone. I didn't care. My life was here, with Bjorn's shared pottery sessions, Signy's showcases, Jordy's updates, the teens' laughter at the center. I started selling my pottery at local markets, the chatter of buyers and the clink of clay a new melody in my life. A way to share my creations that felt true, a return to the man I'd been before Lirien. Happiness wasn't loud. It was the feel of clay, the teen smiles, the warmth of community. Lirien's choice to go to Torsten's party, her affair with him, had been her undoing, and I'd walked away, fought back, with Bjorn, Signy, and Jordy's by my side. The external conflict in court, the confrontation at the apartment, had been my stage to stand tall, and I'd won, not by her rules, but by rediscovering my craft. As I stood in the garage, Bjorn at my side, the Shape Your Peace bowl on the shelf, I knew I'd turned her betrayal into a new beginning, a life of creativity, community, and peace, while Lirien faced the emptiness of her own making. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help this video reach more viewers. See you in the next one.